Welcome to Simone Love's Hour. Here we focus on criminal justice reform and a host of other topics. I'm your host, Simone Love, and I'll be here each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. here on redmediaradio.com. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy the show. Today's show, which is solely related to capital punishment, solitary confinement, which is considered the worst kind of punishment in the world. I will talk about solitary imprisonment, its physical and psychological impact, the history of this punishment, why the United Nations and other humanitarian institutions are condemning it, stories of people who were victims of this punishment, and much, much more. To help us with the narrative of today's topic, you will hear the voice of Miss Deidre Dixon, and from real-life inmates Eric Cooper, Rashee Harris, and Michael Jones, who will share with us his personal experience in solitary confinement for many, many years.
Try to imagine for a day in solitary confinement, in a cell all alone with a small skinny window. I squint my eyes, grass and a bright blue sky is all that I see. I wonder where the plants or trees could be. Hold, I see a deer, eyes, nose and two ears, legs and a rear, with a bright and brown fluffy tail. I'm lost in thought as I stare, but was interrupted by a thump behind me. I slowly turn around to head to the door, but again I was interrupted by a spider who was dangling from its web. I carefully caress and allow it to crawl through my fingers. The tingling of a crawling spider makes me laugh. Ha ha! I talk to it as a human being. I bear as if I get caught, lost in my thoughts. Am I talking to myself? Try to imagine.
Yes. Can we imagine? Solitary confinement is a form of imprisonment. Living in single cells with little or no meaningful contact with other human beings. The practice is used when a prisoner is considered dangerous to themselves or others. It's normally used as a form of punishment for violation of prison rules or misconduct. Solitary confinement is the norm in Supermax prisons, where prisoners are held who are considered dangerous or at high risk. Each person spends 23 hours a day alone in a cell the size of the average bathroom. And every aspect of his or her life occurs in that cell. Eating, sleeping, drinking, but it normally lacks the facilities to take a shower. Correctional officers push food trays through the small openings in the doors. Inmates are caged in iron walls, 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. Try to imagine.
My suffering is nothing but a gain to you. I'm already separated from society, but that's not enough for you. You want me separated from everybody. You stick me in the RHU, SHU, MHU, STGMU, and every other segregated U. This makes me angry. I don't know how to express what I'm feeling. You think that I don't know that you are trying to break me? You force me in the cell with a homosexual so he can rape me. You say that I am resisting so you can mace me. The pain I'm going through is nothing but a phase to you. Sticking me in the hole is nothing but a joke to you. Kicking and screaming, what else am I supposed to do? I am literally dying without human contact. Yeah, I'm depressed and I want to die. 86,400 hours, 3,650 days. Yes, that's 10 years I've been suffocating in this box, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Insanity is starting to settle in. and I'm locked down and I don't think I'm going to make it. Are you ignoring me? Because nobody is telling me shit. Will you start answering me if I start smearing shit? I feel like I want to hurt somebody. So I start to cause myself bodily harm. Your response is to restrain me, damn near breaking my arm. Does this not cause you alarm? Watching the man bite the vein out of his arm? You sick, twisted, sadistic prick. Now it's all starting to click. This really is a game to you, making me wait on you to make a decision on my life. What are you going to do? You think that I'm trying to manipulate you, writing my cries off for help as behavioral outbursts? When you manipulated me first? Listen, solitary confinement hurts you. It changes you. You lose yourself. This is not rehabilitation. It's torture, plain and simple.
To understand this punishment, let's take a look into the history of this torture in the United States. The practice of solitary confinement traces its origins back to the 19th century, when Quakers in Pennsylvania used this method as a substitution for public punishment at the Walnut Street Jail in Philadelphia. Believing that total isolation and silence would lead to remorsefulness. However, instead of becoming remorseful, the prisoners developed serious mental health problems. The Quakers recognized that solitary confinement caused severe psychological harm and apologized for their use of solitary confinement. But unfortunately, the United States has let history repeat itself. Many findings found that inmates in solitary confinement were exhibiting signs of mental illness.
Is it weird that I hear the spider talking to me as if we were one alike? It sits on the palm of my hand. I sit on the edge of the bed. We lock eyes for a moment. I thought it was dead. It whispers to me to tell me it plays possum.
The reality of this punishment is better explained by John McCain and Nelson Mandela. They said of all the horrors they suffered in prison, solitary confinement was the worst. Solitary confinement is also used for our youth. It is much worse physically and mentally. Youth in solitary confinement are prevented from regular programming, including education and recreation. They come out only to shower, and then only a few times a week. So the lack of social stimulation, the lack of real meaningful programming, be it mental or educational, are devastating to these developing young minds. It hurts children's, it devastates their growth, it devastates their development. And we can't forget about our female prisoners. They say there are over 200,000 women locked in jails and prisons in the United States. They too are subjected to solitary confinement, locked up 23 hours a day without interaction with others for days, weeks, even months at a time.
Let me out. The sun and the moon have been my only visitors for years. In my world, there is no one to care about my tears. All the songs and melodies are crickets I have known, and when the darkness comes and I'm all alone, my heart whispers, let me out. My only leisure is to relive the memories from my past, the good and the bad that keep me busy while they last. I miss the beauty of spring and the cold winter breeze. I miss the busy market street and the sweet scent of freedom. Once again, my heart whispers, please let me out. Let me out from solitary confinement. Set me free from my predicament. I miss the sound of notifications from my phone. I miss the days where I was never alone. Now all I hear whispers in my head all day. And all I want to scream and say, let me out.
Now, Finally, let's talk about the situation of solitary confinement in the United States. You may or may not know about ADX. It's the federal government's only Supermax prison. It's 90 miles south of Denver. Standing outside the building, it looks like a new suburban middle school. The lobby is clean and bright. There are big windows and clear views of the mountain, and a polite front desk attendant. On the wall is a large plaque that reads, "The best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." And down the stairs, at the end of a long hallway, are 400 men decaying in isolation. The United States claims it does not use torture and criticizes other countries such as Iran and North Korea for the atrocities that they allegedly commit. The United States does torture people here, tens of thousands of them, and it's called solitary confinement, using our tax dollars, undermining the core values of our justice system. Because of its bad implications on mental and physical health, many humanitarian organizations call on governments to ban this practice. Please listen to the real-life testimony of Mr. Jones, who is currently serving time in prison, as he gives a detailed account of his experience with solitary confinement.
My first stint in solitary confinement was February 2003, called the Shoe. It was held in. It was held in. I stayed for 5 years straight, from 2003 to 2008. I first got down there. It was dirty. They didn't give you no chance to groom properly, no haircuts, no razors. They wasn't doing none of that then. They was giving you only opportunity they gave you for any type of like commissary or anything like that was $5 every 2 weeks. You get to spend $5 every 2 weeks. It was the guards was just nasty, disrespectful, spitting your food trays. It was these little hard food trays with little slots in them that you eat out of. Everything come through a slot. So the food was always cold and the trays was dirty. So like you couldn't really eat off the food tray. So the only means you really had to eat without having to think about what they doing to your food is from commissary. So it was levels. Level 1, you spend $5 every 2 weeks. Level 2, you spend $10 every 2 weeks. Level 3, $15. Level 4, $30. But this the kicker. They get the level 2, you got to go 90 days right up free. And if the guard didn't like you, this is what they used to do. This is the games they used to play. If the guard didn't like you, right before you make your level 2, to get your $10 commissary, they give you a write-up for an extra pair of socks or a syrup on your desk or something you ain't supposed to have in your cell, and that knock your level right back down to level 1, and you lose that privilege. So now you got to start all over again. This was 2003 to 2005, 2008. This was my first stint. And the guards, like, on purpose, argue with you, disrespect you. You could just be like, for instance, a real situation. I asked one day, excuse me, officer, can I get some toilet paper? He said, shut the fuck up, bitch. That's how they talk to you then. That's how they talk to you then. No reason. You ain't got nothing. That's just what it was. The shoe was medical, non-existent. Back there, the medical was non-existent. No, it wasn't. You couldn't do nothing. You couldn't. It was no help. It was no answer. Like you couldn't. You just back there until you got from back there. That's how it was going to be. It wasn't. You get your little call home. You get one phone call a month for 10 minutes. One phone call a month for 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? One phone call a month. That's on level 1. 10 minutes. That's the level you on. It depends what level you was on, how many phone calls you got. Level 2 was 2 phone calls a month. Level 3 was 3 phone calls a month. Level 4 was 4 phone calls a month. and they was all in cahoots. Like at the guards, if you stood up, like if you didn't take the disrespect or you got into any type of conflict with the guards, they was, you know, messing with the COs, the female COs. So it was all in cahoots together. So you really, it was no other. It was just the treatment was just bad. The treatment was bad. Spitting in your food, putting Visine in people's food, urinating in people's food. This was real deal going on in the shoe. Me myself personally, I was poisoned by a guard. I don't know what they put in my food, but I was poisoned by a guard. And I went to the outside hospital. Christian, I fell ill on the floor in pain. The nurse got me called out to Christiana Hospital where I went. The Christiana Hospital had to take out 10 inches of my intestines because they said it was corroding from something I was eating. And the nurse chick said, I don't know what's going on down there, but be careful what you're eating. That was the exact words. And of course, the hospital's going to cover up for PIC, Prison Industrial Complex. The hospital's covered everything up, trying to say it was something I was born with or something like that. But the nurse already told me, be careful what I'm eating. She told me that while I was at the hospital. So to this day, like it's just to this day, like it was. You come out 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 45 minutes in the dog kennel cage and 15 minutes in the shower. You handcuff and shackle everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you handcuff and shackle. So it wasn't nothing else to do. Like it wasn't nothing to stimulate your mind. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't at first. They wouldn't even give you no TVs. So all you could do is buy a radio, but you got to be on level 2 to buy a radio. You know what I'm saying? Then you go back. If you go back to level 1, they take the radio till you make it back to level 2. You know what I'm saying? It was all a game. Like the COs used to play a lot of games with people. And that's why, you know, I've been back there with people that committed suicide. I've been back there with people that put feces all over themselves, people taking medication, trying to get away from their reality, trying to escape reality. I was back there. It was just a mess. It was just a mess. To this day, I be having nightmares about going back to the shoot. To this day, sometimes when I go to sleep, because you're in orange, I go to sleep and I'm seeing orange and I'm having panics. That's just how it goes. It was a situation where it scarred you for the rest of your life. I don't care who you is. You ever been to the shoe, it's gonna scar you from the things you've been through and the things you've seen and the treatment you received. It's gonna scar you. We was treated inhumane. It wasn't no rehabilitation. It wasn't no program process. You was nothing. You was treated like nothing. Animals were treated better than anybody that ever was in the shoe got treated. You were treated like you were nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's even to this day. I came back. I was in Pennsylvania. I came back to James T. Vaughn, and I was, before I got classified, I went from quarantine in an infirmary, and I had to go back to the shoe. So when they brought me the orange outfits and the chains and the shackles, I froze. I was reliving in my mind. I was reliving like, damn, I didn't even do nothing wrong, but I know I'm about to go back to the shoe. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have handcuffs on me in years. I didn't have handcuffs on me in like 4 years. I was in the state of Pennsylvania. So coming back, getting off quarantine, going in handcuffs, getting put back on orange, even though it only lasted, you know, like a good month, it brought back the same things. I even wrote something about it. When it was just a bad situation. It was a bad situation. I wrote something about it that I'm gonna share with y'all. Just a little reminder, and I put reminder. I wrote it at the time when I came back, and I put reminder on it. I'm trying to pick it up for y'all right now. Just keep in mind. Listen to this. Keep in mind. This is what it says. Keep in mind. Came back 9/14/2021. Went straight into ISO cell in the infirmary for 10-day quarantine. The AC was broken. It felt like I was suffocating at times. 9/24/2021, discharged from the infirmary, placed in building 18C upper 6. That's the shoe, but now it's like a little hole. They said this is where I'll be until I get classified. Before leaving the infirmary, when I first seen the chains and cuffs, I went into a temporary shop. I asked to see mental health. It just brought back so many memories, bad memories, wounds that were healed, simply broken back open. I'm tired. I'm 39 years old. I'll be 40 in 6 months. Now I'm just waiting to be classified. I'm in pain right now. I'm alone, about to pick up my Bible. This has to stop. I'm being treated in the same exact manner as those who have received disciplinary write-ups. It's 8 people in all. I'm the only one that's not over here due to disciplinary write-up. I was told this is just where I'll be housed in the hole for a few days, and I'll get classified next week sometime. I spoke to a lady from the James T. Bond Correctional Center Mental Health Department. I explained I'm having bad anxiety issues, panic attacks. There's no way a person waiting to be classified is housed on a disciplinary unit. There's also no way a person that's waiting to be classified is being treated just like they engage in behavior that required a disciplinary action. That's just something I wrote. You know what I'm saying? While I was in that situation, just a reminder of what I went back to for that little moment that I did go back. Solitary confinement, the shoe, is a mess. It's still is a lot different now. It's a lot different now. Now you get your property and all, but the trauma it caused when I was in there in 2003 to 2008 and all the way up to about 2016 when it started to change. That's when solitary confinement started to change. But if you've been through it any of them years, it's like it's a scar that is a wound that's gonna never heal. The treatment, like you're gonna relive it and relive it and relive it. Is nothing you can't even escape it. I know many brothers that's on medication to this day. I know many brothers that still attempt suicide, that still cut themselves with razors, that still rub feces all over themselves to this day because they just so gone. The gone, the treatment, they gone. They gone. They a shell of their former selves. They not even there no more. They just gone. Solitary confinement it just messed people up. It was inhumane treatment all around the board. Bottom line, there's atrocities happen back there. Atrocities. You know what I'm saying? There's atrocities. You watching people kill themselves. You watching people get all types of guards laughing about putting stuff in your food and not giving you the necessary things you need, toilet paper, and it's just a sad situation. It's a sad situation. The food, dirty trays, they didn't care. It was a situation where you're in solitary confinement, you're in a shoe, you wasn't human. Bottom line, you wasn't human. You was treated like nothing, and that's the bottom line. And no human being on the face of this earth, I don't care what they say you did, what you're accused of, what you've been through in your life, should have to go through that. It was shocking. Like if it was a camera to really film what was going on back there, you would never get another night's sleep just thinking about human beings, your sons, your fathers, your brothers, because that's what we is, your uncles. That's what we is, your husbands, your boyfriends. That's what we is, your men. That's what we are. And that's how we was treated by these people. The same people you might see on the outside, they act totally different. They work here, they act one way. They come to the street, now they want to act civilized and stuff because there's no consequences. There's no consequence for what a guard do to you in prison. Nah, they protect it. They shield from it. It has got a lot better, and it's not every guard. You even had guards that used to go against guards because guards used to spit in people's food, urinate in people's food, handcuff you, pull you out the cell. People just mace you, just come to work. They just want to do it. Pull you out, cuff you, mace you, beat the shit out you. You know what I'm saying? While you on the floor, telling you stop resisting while you in cuffs, just beating the shit out you with metal pipes and all types of stuff. Like, it's guards that went against guards because that was going on. To this day, it's guards that don't deal with each other because of that. You do have good guards. I can't say all the guards are bad. You have good guards that treat you like a human being.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Something in between. It's something in between. You know what I'm saying? It's something in between. And this is what people need to know. Your brothers, your uncles, your fathers, y'all need to understand that, a lot of us coming home need proper treatment. We need mental health evaluations. We need help because this wasn't no walk in the park. We've been abused, man. We've been abused. We've been subject to torturous methods. The same thing that they use the lights on 17 and a half hours a day straight. To a lot of us that didn't even wear glasses now. Damn near blind. That's how much the light, you just sitting under a light all day long. In a cell. 47-1. Ain't no 23-1. You
Came out 3 times a week, 45 minutes in a cage, 15 minutes in the shower. It was ridiculous. It's no way a human being should ever be treated like that, ever. Ever. The community should be outraged. They created whatever a man is.
Thank you for using GTL.
Surprisingly, the United States is criticizing this elsewhere, but allows it to happen on its own soil. Other than execution, incarceration is the most intrusive power of the state, which is deprivation of citizens' liberty. We have to persuade our lawmakers to make policies to help these people by using alternative measures. Now it is our responsibility to act against it and raise our voices and concerns about the atrocity happening to our people, administering on our behalf and using our tax dollars. It is our justice system, and those are our people. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's topic, please visit our website at www.lifeplus527years.com or feel free to email me at simoneloveshour@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Simone Loves Hour. I'm your host, Simone Love. We'll see you back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another groundbreaking episode on redmediaradio.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and thank you for listening.